Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to the channel. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is pose this question to you. What makes a bad comic? And I'll be talking a little bit more about that just in a bit. Just a bit of food for thought. Right, so first of all, Die, issue 6. This is still one of my favourite comic series of this year, of last year, just one of my favourite comic series. And we're now getting to the point where these characters are being developed more and more. And the ending of this particular issue, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but it's shocking in a way that you cannot wait to find out more about the backstory of what has happened to these characters within this fantasy world. And I'm loving this series. I'm really, really loving this series. If you haven't already started, really, you got to get on this. Kieran Gillen's fantastic. Stephanie Hans's artwork is phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. I cannot fault this. I really cannot fault it at all. Really cannot. Right, speaking of things that I just can't fault too much, Donny Cates. He is doing some great stuff at the moment at Marvel. Silver Surfer Black, issue 3. I have said that the artwork isn't for me. It's a bit too trippy, but I'm coming around to it. I'm finding it's sort of blending well with this story. It is a very sort of out there concept. It's a very sort of Jack Kirby-esque story and artwork anyway, and it suits it. Kate seems to have this great grasp on the cosmic side of Marvel, and it's just 3 issues in, and I'm loving it. I really am. I'm hoping it continues. I'm hoping there's going to be tie-ins to Absolute Carnage. It's just great. It's a really, really good series, and yeah, it's just very strong. Donny Cates can't really put a foot wrong at the moment. So, quickly just mention in passing, I have Absolute Carnage Scream, Absolute Carnage Separation Anxiety, and then Absolute Carnage versus Deadpool. These are the tie-ins for Absolute Carnage. Scream, Separation Anxiety were good. I liked the introduction to these other symbiotes, but out of the 3 of those, versus Deadpool, just fantastic. It really, really is. The artwork is great. I'm not fully up to date on the Spider-Man Deadpool stuff, but I've got a strange feeling this is tying into it, but obviously tying into the Absolute Carnage as well, and it sets itself up for a nice little sequel. And it seems that Deadpool is going to be quite important when it comes to the main story of Absolute Carnage, which is going to be a lot of fun, I think. So, next issue, Cosmic Ghostrider Destroys Marvel History. This is number 5. I've said this for a long time. This series, so much fun. Just so much fun. And it's now the last issue, this issue, potentially the next issue. We're dealing with the events of the same sort of day, really, or a few hours, where Frank's family is about to be killed, and Cosmic Ghostrider, sort of future Frank, is wanting to stop that to prevent everything from happening. The Watcher obviously takes a stance against that, saying you can't do this. But this comic started off as a lot of fun. It's continued to be a lot of fun, but now it's getting into stuff that does talk about time travel, that talks about the problems with it, and it's doing it really, really well. And again, really, really enjoying this series, really am. Doesn't hurt that Cosmic Ghostrider has really turned into one of my favourites. He's a fantastic character. It's not all been good this week though, unfortunately. Now, I said what makes a bad comic. Now, I will tell you, there's a lot of things that do make a bad comic, but Superman, year 1, issue 2, I would say is probably one of the most offensively bad comics I have ever read. Ever. Frank Miller has done some really, really great stuff with Batman, with Daredevil. he does not seem to have a grasp of Superman at all. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for the first issue. It seemed a little bit too dark for Superman. I don't mind dark. This is a Black Label print. This is something a bit more adult. That's fine. This, he doesn't understand the character. When you're writing the main protagonist saying he's in love with mermaids, the sea is calling to him, he likes killing. It seems like a mashup of Aquaman and Batman. The fact that he's describing how much he likes killing people, it wouldn't go amiss in a Batman comic, in like a year 1 or year 2 Batman comic, where Bruce Wayne is still fighting against the demons. He's still trying to come to grasp with the hero that he is. And in terms of being constantly called to the sea, falling in love with mermaids, having to fight some incredibly big sea monsters, again, it's the kind of thing you'd see from an Aquaman comic. This is not a Superman comic at all. At all. And I think one of the most offensively bad things about this comic is the narration, in that it's so unprofessional. You have a narrator that is talking about Clark as a person, which is fine. Don't know who's narrating it yet. That's, again, not a problem. You can cover that in the next issue, see who's talking about his life. But then in the same panels, you have a narrator block talking about Clark as he is talking about Clark, saying, I did this, I did that, and I am Superman. It throws you off completely. You cannot have two separate narrators in one comic unless you really define the difference between them. You can have thought bubbles, you can have thought patterns, you can have people talking and thinking in one colour and someone else talking and thinking in a different colour. That's how you differentiate. You cannot have the same colouring, the same boxes, and exactly the same style. It completely throws you off. I don't know who's talking. I don't know who's talking and when they're talking. I didn't like this comic when I first started to read it. I kept putting it down, thinking, I don't know if I can get through this. And I finished it a few days ago now, but since then I've been thinking about it more and more and more, and it just gets me angry. It's bad to an extreme I don't think I've ever seen a comic be this bad. And for it to be part of the Black Label print, for it to have John Romita Jr., for it to have Frank Miller, for it to be, I would say, probably one of the first, it's the first DC Black Label that's not been Batman, other than any reprints. I don't count reprints. So this is the first Black Label that's not Batman, and it's bad. And it gets me really, really worried for the future of the Black Label print. I was really looking forward to Wonder Woman. I'm looking forward to what they're doing with Harley Quinn. But if it's anything like this, it's got me worried. If it's like Batman Damned, great, I'm all for it. That was a great 3-issue series. I'm enjoying the adult content of it. It's kind of nice to have that. But this is not Superman. So for me, that is a very bad comic. But if you want to see Superman year 1, if you want to see early stages of Superman, if you want to see it done right, J. Michael Straczynski, Earth 1. This is, without a doubt, I'd say my favourite retelling of the Superman story. This is what this wants to be. And it's a shame. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And, well, I'll see you next time.